Hello, good evening, students. How are you? Hope all of you are doing well. So today we are going to study about the second part of food and digestion, in which we are going to discuss about the other components of food like lipids, like protein. So let's us start first of all with the lipid, which is commonly known as fats or fats. So basically, if we talk about lipids, they are made up of, or wait a second. Lipids are, first of all, let's see the classification of lipids. These are generally classified into three different types. One is simple lipids, another is conjugate lipid, and third one is derived lipid. Simple lipids are also said to be as these are true lipids. These lipids are made up of fatty acids plus alcohol, and the alcohol which is usually found in them are glycerol. So let us suppose this is the structure of glycerol. So when a fatty acid, this fatty acid can be of different type like palmitic acid, stearic acid, butyric acid. There are n number of fatty acid. When a fatty acid react with alcohol, this is an acid, this is an alcohol, and whenever in chemistry there is a reaction between acid and alcohol, there is a special type of bond formation takes place which is known as ester bond. So if one fatty acid going to react with this alcohol, this will form CH2OH, O, fatty acid, CHOH, CH2OH. Now this fatty acid is known as monoglyceride. Now let us suppose if another fatty acid going to react with this monoglyceride. This is again acid, this is alcohol. What will happen? Whenever there will be a reaction between acid and alcohol, the bond formation takes place and this bond is known as ester bond. So CH2OH, Fa, CHO, Fa. Fa means fatty acid. Fa means fatty acid, and CH2OH. So this is diglyceride. Now again, this diglyceride will react with another fatty acid, and these fatty acid again will replace this hydrogen bond and will form a ester bond. So CH2OH, oh not sorry, OH, CH2O, Fa, CHO, Fa, and CH2O, Fa. So these are triglyceride. Now the definition for lipids is basically these are the compound, or these are the triglycerides of fatty acids. So these are the molecule which contain triglycerides of fatty acids. So basically when glycerol gets esterified with, esterified means the formation of ester bond takes place with fatty acid, such compound are said to be as, such compound are said to be as lipids or simple lipids or true lipids. Glycerol serves as backbone for lipid molecule. So basically the glycerol molecule act as a backbone in which these fatty acid get esterified and they'll form a new molecule known as lipids, or commonly we call them as fat, but in general fats are the different molecule. I'll explain it later. Now let us again look at the diagram. So this is what our glycerol, and now let us suppose these fatty acids, these are the molecules of fatty acids. These are three different types of fatty acid and these are going to form a lipid molecule. So glycerol is working as a backbone. Now let us talk about these molecules, fatty acids. Now fatty acids are basically the chain of, long chain of hydrocarbon. These are the long chain of hydrocarbon. So fatty acids are the long chain of hydrocarbon. That means they contain carbon in them. So the general formula of fatty acid is RCOOH, in which this R is alkyl group. R is alkyl group, and this alkyl group can contain carbon C1 to C90. So the total number of fatty acid in a total number of carbon in a fatty acid can be minimum 2 and maximum it can be 20. Let's see. This R can contain carbon carbon 1, means it can be CH2 group, or this R can contain CH2, 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 CH2 molecules repeating 19 times. Okay. Now, so if 19 molecules of CH2 is there, then there is one more carbon for carboxylic acid, 19 carbon of CH2 group, 1 carbon of carboxylic acid, maximum number can be 20. If we talk about minimum number, 1 CH2 molecule can be there, 1 carbon of CH2, 1 carbon of COH, so minimum number can be 2. So fatty acid are basically the compound which is made up of long chain of hydrocarbon, and the formula for these fatty acid are RCOOH, in which R is alkyl group which contain carbon molecule from 1 to carbon molecule from C90. This R can be CH3, this R can be C2H5, or this R can be CH2 units, which can be repeated up to 19 times. Is that clear? Is that clear? So we can put CH3COOH, this is also a type of fatty acid, C2H5COOH, acetic acid, this is also a type of fatty acid, or we can take repetitive units of these CH2 chain up to 19 times. So this can create a fatty acid. Now these fatty acids are classified on the basis of melting point. Some fatty acids are said to be as saturated fatty acid. According to chemistry, the compound which contain only single bonded, those are saturated hydrocarbon or saturated compound. So they contain only single bond. The example of these fatty acids are palmitic acid, stearic acid. And these fats are basically solid at room temperature. So these fats are solid at room temperature. So the example of these fats are generally animal fats like ghee, butter, cream, and one oil, that is coconut oil, which is generally an oil but solid at room temperature. Such type of fats which are solid at room temperature, these are, or such type of fatty acid which are solid at room temperature, these are commonly called as fats. On the other hand, we have unsaturated fatty acids. Unsaturated fatty acid contain multiple bond or means double bond either once or twice or thrice in their long chain of hydrocarbon. So if these unsaturated fatty acid contain only one double bond, if these contain only one double bond, then these are known as monounsaturated fatty acids. Example of this is oleic acid. If these contain more than one double bond, such type of fatty acid are said to be as polyunsaturated fatty acids. Example of these are linoleic acid, linolenic acid, and arachidinoic acid. And these fatty acids, these both either monosaturated or polyunsaturated, these are liquid at room temperature. So generally we call these things as oils. Example of these are mustard oil, olive oil, groundnut oil, linseed oil, etc. Fine. So let us understand once again. We are studying about lipids. Commonly we call them fat, but fat are basically the members of lipid family. Lipid are classified into three different families: simple or true lipid, conjugate lipid, derived lipid. We are simple lipid are also said to be as true lipid. First of all, we are studying about the simple lipid. These are the fats, or these are the molecules made up of fatty acid and a type of alcohol known as glycerol. So this is a glycerol chain. This is some fatty acid. It can be stearic, it can be palmitic, it can be butyric, it can be oleic, it can be linoleic. We have seen the example over there. Fine. When this fatty acid, this is an acid and this is an alcohol, whenever there will be a reaction between acid and alcohol, a type of bond is formed. This bond is known as ester bond. So when one fatty acid react with glycerol, it will form monoglyceride molecule. When another fatty acid react with monoglyceride, it will form diglyceride molecule. When another fatty acid react with diglyceride, it will form triglyceride molecule. So the general definition for simple lipids are when glycerol get esterified with fatty acid, or these are the triglyceride ester of fatty acid. Okay, we can also say that these are the triglyceride esters of fatty acid. These type of lipid are said to be as simple lipid or true lipid or generally lipid. This is the definition of fatty acid. In these fats lipid molecule, glycerol serves as a backbone for lipid molecule. Now, in this lipid molecule, fatty acid is a compound which is basically a long chain of hydrocarbon. The total number of hydrocarbon in this fatty acid, the general formula of this fatty acid is RCOH, where R is alkyl group. This alkyl group can be either methyl or ethyl, or basically CH2 molecules with up to 19 repetitive units. So it can be a 1 CH2 molecule, it can be 2 CH2 molecule, it can be 3 CH2 molecule, it can be 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, it can be up to 19 repetitive unit. So if you put over here CH2 19 molecule, this is one more molecule of, this is one more atom of carbon. The maximum number of carbon in a fatty acid can be 20, and the minimum number, if you put only one CH2 molecule over at the place of R, you will get one one carbon atom from CH2 molecule and another carbon atom from carboxylic group. So the minimum number can be 2. Now, these fatty acid on the basis of melting point can be saturated and unsaturated. Saturated molecules or saturated fatty acid are generally those compounds which contain only single bond. Means these are the long chain of hydrocarbon of single bond only. But these are the long chain of hydrocarbon which can contain a single double bond like this, or which can contain multiple double bonds. Means there can be 2 double bond, there can be 3 double bond. If it contain only one double bond, then we call it as monounsaturated fatty acid. The example is oleic acid. If it contain more than one double bond, it is called as polyunsaturated fatty acid. The example is linoleic, linolenic, and arachidonic. And these all linoleic, linolenic, and arachidonic, these fatty acid cannot synthesize by our body. These three fatty acid cannot synthesize by our body. Usually those people who used to go gym, their trainer asked them to take fish oil capsule, because fish oil capsule contain omega-3 fatty acid, omega-6 fatty acid. This linoleic acid is omega-3 fatty acid. This linolenic acid is omega-6 fatty acid. These fatty acid cannot be synthesized by our body. We have to take them from the diet. So we have to eat fish oil capsules or flax seeds or different types of grain to get these fatty acid. So these fatty acid, especially these three, I'm writing it over the next page: linoleic, linolenic, and arachidonic. These commonly called as essential fatty acid It is required by our body. It is essential for all fatty acids are essential, but it is not synthesized by our body. That's why it is essential. Essential fatty acids, and these essential fatty acids not synthesized by our body. Fine. Next thing is, so these saturated fatty acid, as they require a high melting point, so they are generally solid at room temperature. They require low melting point, okay? They'll melt easily, so they are generally liquid at room temperature. Commonly we call saturated fatty acids as fats. Commonly we call unsaturated fatty acid as oil. The example of unsaturated fatty acids are over here, and these fatty acids are present in these oils: mustard oil, olive oil, groundnut oil, linseed oil, flax seed oil, fish oil, etc. And the example of saturated fatty acids are palmitic acid, stearic acid, butyric acid, and these fatty acids are found in ghee, butter, cream, coconut, etc. So this is our simple lipid. Second is conjugate lipid. Conjugate means something is joined. Means we have in lipids we have what? Glycerol plus we have what? Fatty acid. In spite of these molecules, if we have joined another molecule, like if we have joined phosphate molecule, then this type of lipid are said to be as conjugated lipid, because something is joined with these basic molecule of lipids. Okay? Or we can say that lipid plus, because glycerol or fatty acids are what? Lipid plus some other compound joined with them are said to be as conjugated lipid. Fine. The basic example which is present in our book is phospholipid, as phosphate group are joined with these lipid molecules. So phospholipids, basically these phospholipids are found in our cell membrane, and the example of, there are many type of phospholipid, and the most common phospholipid which is found inside our cell membrane is lecithin. This is the name of phospholipid which is present in our cell membrane. What is cell membrane? The outermost covering of the cell is said to be a cell membrane or plasma membrane. And the third type is derived lipid. Now, derived lipid are not generally present in nature. So, what happens when simple or conjugate lipids get hydrolyzed, means they get breakdown. So when simple or compound lipid get hydrolyzed, they yield a new type of lipid molecule known as derived lipid. And the best example of derived lipids are cholesterol. So when we eat simple lipids, or when our body synthesize these compound lipid and these get break off by our body digestive system, they'll yield cholesterol. So cholesterol is a type of what? Derived lipid. Fine. Now, all these lipid molecules are compound made up of carbon and hydrogen and oxygen, just like carbohydrate, but the amount of oxygen varies in fats molecule, plus amount of carbon dioxide varies in fats molecule, as well as the calorific value of fats are 1 gram fat on complete oxidation or I can say 1 gram fat yield 9.0 kilocalorie energy. The daily requirement of fat is 70 to 90 grams. So out of this 70 to 90 grams, when our body used 1 gram fat, it yield 9.0 kilocalorie energy, and this energy is highest in terms of any type of food component. That's why fats are said to be as richest source of energy, source of stored energy. These stored energy only used during the time of heavy exercises or fasting. But fat are also said to be as necessary evil, because if you consume too much fat, some of the fat like saturated fat gets accumulated or gets clogged in our blood vessels, which may lead to the problem of heart attack or cardiac arrest. So these are also said to be as necessary evil, because many hormone, many membranes, many good cholesterol is made up by these fat molecule. That's why these are said to be as necessary evil. So that is all about the fat. Next thing is proteins. Now proteins are generally the molecules or the polymer of amino acids. So basically we have a unit amino acid, and there are n number of amino acids. For protein synthesis, 20 amino acids are required. Now, in nature, there are 573 different types of amino acid. But out of these 573 amino acid, only 20 amino acids are required for protein synthesis. Let us suppose I am saying that this is a protein molecule. This is a protein molecule. Let us suppose a hypothetical condition. This is a protein molecule, and this protein molecules basically it contains 400 amino acids. Now, these 400 amino acids are those 20 amino acids in different orientations. So there will be a permutation and combination, or there will be probability of different type of arrangement of these 20 amino acids inside these 400 amino acid, inside this 400 amino acid long chain protein. Fine. So amino acids are the compound made up of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen and sulfur. Now, out of these 20 amino acids, 18 amino acids contain carbon, hydrogen, oxygen and nitrogen, while 2 amino acids contain carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen as well as sulfur. That is why in a protein molecule, we'll find the presence of sulfur. Now, usually in our exam, there are questions, name those amino acids which contain sulfur in them. Example of these 2 amino acids are methionine and cysteine. So these are the example of amino acid. Next thing is these amino acids are also classified into 2 different categories. One is essential, which cannot be synthesized by our body, and one is non-essential, which can be synthesized by our body. Okay. So it cannot be synthesized. That's why we eat chicken, mutton, tofu, paneer, soya bean, groundnut, pulses. So these are basically dietary amino acid. We have to take them from our daily diet. Now, these non-essential are also present inside these food molecules like tofu, paneer, meat, chicken, fish. But if you are not getting these amino acids from the food source, our body can synthesize these amino acids. That's why it is known as non-essential. Can't be synthesized by our body. And can be synthesized by. So the number of essential amino acids in Lucent and in other books, it is mentioned 10. So this is also 10. But in reality, it is not like that. And first of all, let me tell you what are those 10 essential amino acids which are not synthesized by body. You have to memorize the name of these 10 amino acids. You don't have to memorize the name of non-essential. It is just simple. Just memorize the name of essential. You will automatically come to know about the which one of them following are non-essential. So there is a mnemonic or there is a trick to memorize them. Private Tim Hall. These 10 alphabets are the name of different amino acid. Now the P stand for phenylalanine. This V stand for valine. This T stand for tryptophan. This again T stand for threonine. This I stand for isoleucine. This L stand for leucine. This another L stand for lysine. This M stand for methionine. This H stand for histidine. And this A stand for arginine. So these are the 10 essential amino acid which cannot be synthesized by the body. The rest remaining amino acid like serine, proline, glycine, aspartic acid, glutamic acid, tyrosine, these are other amino acids. Those are said to be as non-essential amino acid. Fine. No. Now I am saying according to your books the number of essential is 10, the number of non-essential is 10. But in reality, histidine and arginine are said to be as semi-essential. Now why we are calling it as semi-essential? Because before 16 years, these amino acids are not synthesized by our body. That's why the number of essential amino acid is 10 and the number of non-essential is also 10. After 16 years, or when we get attain the phase of adult, means after completing 18 years or entering during 18 years. So when we'll come up to the age of 18, these amino acids get synthesized by our body. That's why the number of essential in adults will become 8 and number of non-essential will become 12. So these two amino acids after 16 years will get started synthesized by our body. That's why we call them as semi-essential amino acids. Fine. Otherwise, usually in the books, it is written as the number of essential is 10, the number of non-essential is 10. But if they ask the number of essential in adults is, it will be 8, and the number of non-essential in adult will be 12. Is that clear? So these are amino acids. Now, by the various combination of these 20 amino acids, there are different types of proteins which get synthesized. So protein, these are the polymer of amino acid linked together by, like in polysaccharide we are finding glycosidic bond, in protein molecule we are finding a special type of bond known as peptide. So example of certain protein or example of some protein. So there are different types of protein, like we have structural protein. Structural protein which forms the structure of our body, and the most famous structural protein in body is keratin. It helps in the formation of hair, nails in animals like cow, like donkeys, like not in donkeys, like cow, like buffaloes, like deer, reindeers. They used to form horns. In cow, they form the larger nail in foot. You see, these nails or these toes are known as hooves. It is also helps in the formation of feathers in birds. It is also helps in the formation of scales in fishes and reptiles. And it is also present in our skin. So these are structural protein. Next thing is contractile protein. These are the protein with the help of which our body can starts moving, or these are the protein which are basically responsible for movement and locomotion of our body. So these proteins are known as myofilament or muscle fibrils, myosin and actin. This is primary myofibril. Myofibril matlab muscles fibers or muscle protein, and this is secondary myofibril. And these both myofibril helps in movement and locomotion by contracting and relaxing them. Next thing is pigmented protein. Pigmented proteins are the proteins which usually gives color to something. For kind of example, hemoglobin gives red color to our blood, and melanin gives black color to our skin, blood, skin, hairs, etc. So these are the pigmented protein. Number 4, defensive protein. Defensive proteins are the proteins that usually fight with infection, and these proteins are commonly said to be as antibodies, which is formed inside our body by WBCs, or we can call them as immunoglobulin. Next thing is So these are structural protein, these are contractile protein, these are pigmented protein, these are defensive protein, functional protein, or catalytic protein. These are also known as catalyst. Like in chemistry, you have studied about a molecule known as catalyst. So these are catalyst or catalytic protein, or these are also said to be as biocatalyst. And in our living system, enzyme works as a biocatalyst. The chemical reaction which is going inside our body need catalyst. In our body, there is no such type of reaction which occur without the help of these enzymes. Even normally, in normal condition, if you see carbon dioxide under physical condition readily gets dissolved inside the water and form carbonic acid. This same reaction goes inside our body, but it will require an enzyme. Without enzyme, our body do not perform any chemical reaction. That's why these are known as functional protein or catalytic protein or biocatalyst. So all enzymes of our body are proteinaceous in nature. But there is a statement, all enzymes are protein, but all protein are not enzyme. There are such a molecule which is exception to this statement. There is a molecule known as ribozyme. It is also said to be as catalytic RNA. These catalytic RNA or these catalytic ribonucleic acid have the property just like enzyme. These are protein, but these are working as an enzyme. Otherwise, all enzymes are protein, but all proteins are not enzyme. Next thing, hormones. Hormones are the chemical messengers of the body. They transfer signal in the they transfer messages from one cell to another cell to perform various functions. 80% of the hormone of our body are made up of protein. Rest 20% hormones of our body are made up of fats. So there are two types of hormones in our body. One is peptide hormone, which is usually made up of protein. Others are steroidal hormone, which are usually made up of fat. Is that clear? We have dietary protein. These are the protein which we can eat in our diet. These are found in egg and milk. So egg are contain a yellow part which is fat and a white part which is basically yolk. Which is basically egg contain two different parts. A yellow part which is known as yolk. This is basically fat, and the liquid medium. This is basically protein. This protein is said to be as egg's albumin. While our milk contain a protein known as casein. So these are the dietary protein. Fine. So we have discussed about the macromolecules or macronutrient. In our Monday class, we are going to start micronutrient or micromolecule. And after that, we'll discuss about the human digestive system. So see you on Monday. Till then, have a nice day. Bye bye. Good day. Take care. Thank you.